Motoring journalists, such as myself, like to harp on about things like steering feel and chassis balance, but really for the vast majority of buyers, two things that matter most, even on a sporty coupe, are price and looks. And that's why the Peugeot RCZ is a winner. It's significantly less expensive than an Audi TT, but arguably even more head-turning, thanks to its bold face, pert bottom, sparkly roof rails, and a curvaceous roof which looks like a piece of modern art. Despite being a small coupe, the RCZ actually has quite a large boot. You can fit a lot more in than this suitcase, and because you can fold down the rear seats, you can even carry longer items. Inside, the RCZ feels very upmarket, with a cabin that can shame some far more expensive sports cars. Standard equipment is generous too, because even the entry-level sport model gets things like electronic climate control, USB input for the stereo and rear parking sensors, though I suggest you actually upgrade to the GT model, because then you get this lovely full leather interior and the electrically operated sport seats. Underneath the skin, the RCZ is based on the rather uninspiring 308, yet significant changes to the suspension and the steering make it a completely different beast on a twisty road. This means that if you are bothered about stuff like steering feel and chassis balance, you'll still be very pleased with the RCZ because it's actually great fun to drive. In fact, it's especially good if you go for the 200 horsepower model because it has special revised suspension at the front end for even better handling capability. And it also comes with a smaller, sporty steering wheel and a short throw 6-speed manual gearbox. Sadly, this guy is actually the diesel, so it doesn't get those two items. However, it's still pretty swift and it'll return 53 miles per gallon, which means it's the best choice if you plan to do a lot of motorway work. And in fact, this car is actually good over long distances because the seats are comfy and the cabin is well insulated for outside noise. The RCZ is fine in town too, because while the controls are precise, they are still sufficiently light enough for dawdling along in traffic. However, this does bring us on to the Peugeot's downsides. The first is the visibility. Now, it's actually surprisingly good out the back for a coupe. In fact, it's better than some hatchbacks. However, it's not so good going forward because you've got these massive A-pillars here which create a bit of a blind spot when you're pulling out at a junction. Also, the large rear view mirror and the pop-up sat-nav means that in the centre of the windscreen, you've got like this little window, about that big, to look through. Other problems I have is a seating position because, right, I've got the chair where I like it, so my legs are nice and comfortable. However, the steering wheel, even though it's fully telescoped forward, I'm still having to stretch to reach. I mean, if you look, my arms are pretty much straight, which isn't ideal. I'd rather have them like that. And if I'm sitting back in my seat and I reach for the stereo controls, well, I can't actually quite get to them. It's as though Peugeot has designed this cabin for someone with really short legs and very long arms, such as an orangutan. Other issues are that the ride can feel a bit bumpy at lower speeds compared to a VW Scirocco, while the cabin lacks the practicality of the more spacious Vauxhall Astra GTC. For instance, the glove box is so small that you really can only just fit gloves in it. In case you're wondering, they're not mine. Well, you only get one measly cup holder, and it's so shallow that it's going to be all too easy to knock your coffee with your arm into your lap, and then you're going to have to go to a meeting looking like you've had a bit of a nasty accident. And then there's the space in the back because, yes, there are seats back there, but as you'll see, it's not particularly easy to get in, and I mean, there really is absolutely no room back here. I feel a little bit trapped. The hardest bit is actually getting out. Okay, so some cramped rear seats, a ditchy glove box and a tiny cup holder may not be deal breakers, but what might be is the fact that the badge on the bonnet isn't as desirable as the one on an Audi TT. That said, when it comes to price and looks, the RCZ is pretty unbeatable. What's more, it drives well enough to impress a motoring journalist.